Hi, my name is Dinesh Vash, and I'm beginning or going on with the food security, climate change, and energy, and will be my sixth video. I have to finish this one because I tried twice and I could not go on. And in this case, I must tell something I spoke before about bamboo. Some bamboos are poison. At least we have two varieties. If animals eat it, they can die. But if they are used with other varieties, it proves that it's good for them and not poison. This picture shows how to produce electricity by hair and producing without electricity and other ways of moving. This works like electricity by electricity, but can be stopped at any time. Just copper for the generator there is to move it is without need for copper. For households and cars can be made by backlit the body with low pressures. Electricity is made by a pressure. I think I make a mistake. Electricity is made by like in a petrol car, that work with a hair closed circuit. It can be 4 to 7 bars. Aeroplanes to big container ships only by air pressure, maybe 100% bar to 150 bars. No need of copper or electric engines. They can work like the old way to move water than I showed before. Electricity by electricity is like fusion reactors. Can use working engines if they are big with generators adaptations, and new generations big only with the small electric engine motor that can be any, it's difficult to read my writing, to be any, can be anywhere in any town without the need of faraway cables. After is being with the big engine or motor that they will begin to work. This system will work all the time without stopping all the year around. If you stop, then you need to begin with a big engine to make the rotors working again. It's quite difficult to do this, and to explain is much easier to think about it. For example, this situation, it shows how air works. We can have this situation working with 7 bars and this one with 50 bars. And you are going to spend the air that can be working like water from the 50 bars, and at the same time you are using the air like energy to press again from 7 to 50. Is a way, what we call a close energy, is a closed circuit. That means after this is made, we don't charge more air, they just work with these two things, two pressures. That the pressures can vary, have a different bars from house electricity or a car to aeroplane or a big ship. You can have very different situations of air pressure. This is a picture of plastic. Now is, like I said, plastic is gold. And of this plastic, only this one is a bottle of milk. is recycled in UK, I think. The rest is nothing is recycled. It's rubbish. And this shows, I took these things to show a few things. First, this one is with printer. That is the best way to recycle materials. This one is with plastic. That is okay. This one is plastic. But there are some of these things with paper. Paper needs to be punished to be in contact with plastic because it's one problem to recycle it. For example, this kind of plastic can be good for, in these situations of all rubbish plastic, we can do lots of things, from floors to protections on the roads. I have one picture from a road with a protection that I show later, how can be better that we are doing now if you are using recycled plastic to do it. Just to say, lots of things like this bottle is different, it's not a recycle. Any dirty things, complicated, but you can use and make different, everything in plastic is recycled. You don't have any plastic not recycled. Just is not the way how people think and only can be with poor salaries to recycle it. If we want to recycle plastic, seriously, we need to do something that we can use all the plastic without any problems in an easy way. This is my pump where I take the chemo. It can be recycled. There is no metallic here. It can be recycled, but this part is paper. That is one problem to recycle. I have cancer, and I'm being in treatment for cancer. I'm not going to solve because it's in different points of the lungs, and now I'm not going to stop the cancer anymore. This is a picture that I took. The name is from the National Library of Medicine, and I look for amino acids. I look for amino acids to see the crops, how crops have, or in this case it was for bread. And it shows, for me, a very funny thing is that potatoes have a big quantity of protein that I didn't know. I thought it didn't have any. Obviously, corn have less, soy, and microalgae. Like to see, I speak many times about microalgae for food, for animal food and human food. Potatoes, whey, milk. Where is wheat? Wheat is here. How we see potatoes is not far away from the wheat. That means you can use potato easily in bread and with good quality. And mixing, like I had from corn and oats cereals, mixing them makes better protein if the things are connected all together. Is one more that shows the way from milk is the best one. Milk, and you still have corn. Corn is another one. If I show after the prices of the things, it's just crazy not doing and not getting people use to buy different kinds of bread and have it, because prices are very different, because we are going to see in the future how prices are. But it shows more one-time potatoes are one of the best things to do bread. This is one of spirulina. Someone says, and this one, I think, is saying that is for air strength. How do you see? This thing, spirulina, is good for hair. It's just one show. This is what I find funny. Is still amino acids. That shows the amino acids by the different things. How to understand how amino acids, these are the most important amino acids, how they are in the crops. This is algae power by this American man, and it shows how to produce algae in big quantities. That is something good for lands that cannot be used for crops. I work in one of factories making these things. This thing, like the BID Shell station that I begin to develop, one of the things are plastics, and is one of the situations that you can have the use of plastics in different colors, and because what you see white is already something made by petrol. It's not plastic, but it's the same like plastic. And if you can have everything, the glass changed for plastic, would be the best innovation for construction. We need to have a good plastic to change glass to it. And it's something that you can have outside in many houses. And if they are with a very good price, of course, that we sell a lot of these things. And this one more compartment in the house. This is where I spent my holidays when I was young. It's the seafront, and I spent one holidays in here, around this place here, and after near this part here. Majority of times was here. It was very good years. When you are young, you can have a nice time. And I used to dry after a shower in this mounts with beach. It's all in sand, but we have grasses here too, only on sand, and they grow big. And it's my town, around town. I live in Agda. This is Ilha, Aveiro. And I live because I don't live anymore, and I think I can go there more because I don't have health for traveling now. And it's just to say about water near the sea. We had water taken from this part here. At the time, I don't think we had many water to buy. We just drank water directly. We didn't drink much water, but it was water that we take from the wells made here. And it was not water coming from any rivers or far away. It was locally. They have the water. They didn't have at the time any water construction for everybody. It was house by house that have to get the water. This is a kind of plastics. The black plastics normally are made with new or old recycled plastic. This one is one of the old recycled plastics. All the countries normally nowadays have this kind of plastic production. If you look in your countries, they must have. Just we must improve, and mainly the state works must need to use more recycled plastic. And this is for crops, water. That means you have a lot of plastic to recycle from the fields because now it's used in very high quantities. That is something speaks about corn. This is in Portuguese. Anyway, you cannot understand, but it shows how brute protein have in corn, with or without grain. That the corn is very good for animal feeds, and it's what were used where I born, and they were very fat animals. Here, you are speaking about avocados, but I took this picture for a different situation. Is we need to have a standard box in plastic who can change all of these situations in paper. Because in paper boxes are prepared to get weight up boxes on top of each ones and must be very strong for doing that thing. That is time now to have boxes in plastic like we have pallets. And the only way is to do them in plastic. Because in pallets we choose at the time for metal, timber and plastic, and we finish to choose timber. Now for fruits or boxes for supermarkets, we need to have a standard sizes to use, not to use paper like you are using like crazy, because lots of these paper are not going to recycle anything. They are just going to the rubbish. Or they see how strong a box needs to be for the weight from the other things, only to take a few, because it's just one line of these things here. I say, you are spending timber without thinking what you are doing to the planet. And I think China, mainly China, must begin to think how to standardize boxes in plastic for this situation. That is how we make bricks from tires and rubbish. It's just to say you have a lot of situations that we can use rubber and plastic. This is something for the protection. I cannot explain because I forget what it means. That is the strength of plastic tubes. This is was very funny. My wife speaks so much time about the bread. White bread is not good. And this one explains well what kind of bread are you eating. I think everyone needs to see these things and to understand how is better done. This is a map of mainly for Africa and mainly for palm oil that I think that needs to be introduced in Africa and bought by all the countries in the world. Because palm trees are the best trees to save the planet. And you need to make a wall with palm trees in the north and in the south. How we see Africa is not so... and one thing, before doing the palm trees plantation, take pictures by Google. You can have everything. You can choose the distance and see quite well how it works. Because, for example, this part you don't have much trees, or like Ethiopia. The only country that is strong in trees, in tropical forest, is still this country, Republic of Congo. The rest is not so strong like people think. You have been cutting, and you're still cutting trees in this place because people still cooking with the timber. I say, we need south here and north having a strong palm tree plantations. But before doing that, just take the proofs that you are using land that it was not for anything, or you are not cutting tropical trees to be approved for all the countries. Europe looks very green, but really don't have many forests. If you go with Google Maps, you see that they are not forests, but fields. It's why you need forests, because you are cutting forests like crazy. Cutting forests and burning, because lots of the fires are unmade fires. You say you are burning everything and cutting all the trees. One of these days you don't have anything without to be the sea making oxygen, because oxygen can be in the sea. We don't have trees. That is changing all the weather, because cutting the trees are changing the weather. I just remember now, for example, Brazil is far away from Africa, but the sun from this desert are going to Brazil, and is one of the things that makes the soil good in Brazil is the desert suns. Already we begin to change all the weather patterns, and now we are losing the North Pole. When we are going to lose this, it means that we don't have snow in the mountains, and we don't have water, mainly in Germany, in Europe too. We need to make reservoirs to keep water, like in Peru they did in the past, and some countries are doing it. It's very important to begin to think how we get water from the land for the crops. Of course, electricity can be cheap, but it's not the situation. We need to improve big quantities of water that can be used in a normal way, keeping them in reservoirs. This is where I took the big idea is to farmland by seawater. It shows different things. Of course, every country, what I'm saying, people need to study all of this situation again, because I think crops like animal food and food for humans must be studied again to understand what they mean. You cannot just go on things from the past with all so much developments in different areas, and you are not doing studying agriculture and food properly. And this is the idea from here. It comes the idea for the deserts. If I didn't see this program, I didn't have an idea to put seawater on the deserts. And I think it's very important to see this. Other mills have a lot of things. It's very important in this area for farmland. You must see their videos. I just saw this one, or one more, not much, but just to say that is an expert in this area. This is for water. It's just an investment that the government needs to put on the internet for people to save water. I still remember in COVID times, we have a situation that they show to clean the hands properly in COVID time. And they open all the water tube in high pressure. They could show half of the water running, but they choose to show all the water running for a few minutes, let the water going out. It has to say that for a second to show better what is recycled or not, and use of water must be improved by investment for people not spending so much water at home. Soybean meal. It speaks about animals, but soy meal mean we can do bread with it. Our breads, at least here in UK, they speak about soy. I don't know if it's soy oil or soy flour. Something is there, don't mean that is with everything. And soy is one of the big things for bread in the future to use, at least in many countries with high populations. This is another part why this is in Portugal, near the city that I live. I live for here, I think about 30 or 40 kilometers from this one. It's an artificial lake in Europe we call Alqueva barrage. That is to make electricity. They don't make any electricity this because they cannot use so much electricity because electricity comes from the river in the border from Spain and Portugal, and you cannot use so much water. The water is more for crops. But all this situation in water that is big, it changed the weather 30 or 40 kilometers. That means the city that I live now in Portugal is the weather changed a lot. It will not live there with so hot weather at night and at day, and now it's quite cool and it's very, very, very different. It's why taking water, salt water to inside can change the weather in any country. It's one way to show fish. I say normally carp. I see for grass carp that is easy. That can be a protein for the majority of the poor people, because, like I said before, we have chicken, eggs, and soy. And you can now have meat and fish too. It's just to show there are very different ways to sell carp in the market if you want to develop this for everybody. This is a picture that I find because it's a way to make a house very easy. I say many countries is for a cold weather, but very easy to make in Africa for people to live. This can be in plastic too, but normally it's in metallic with a weather a material to protect from the hot and the cold. It's an easy way to make houses in a cheap way. You are speaking now about chlorella. I don't speak much about chlorella because I think it's more difficult for the animals make the digestion of chlorella. Is why I choose spirulina. Spirulina is blue, or goes to blue color. Duckweed is green, and green is important for the animals and for humans to eat. It's always said in chicken because it was from the chicken food that I choose duckweed. That can be dry, doing for in big quantities for chicken and hens. And it's like I said, to have good eggs and good food, the animals need sun and greens to eat, part of their system. This is a time I took this, I didn't know that potatoes were good for bread. This is from Pinterest. In Pinterest, like YouTube, we have many things that show what I've been speaking. We can find in Pinterest too. It's a big encyclopedia that is keeping in there. And I took to say that it was possible to do with bread. Now, I'll say that it's important to do with bread, because at the time I didn't know that bread is good in amino acids, and now I know that. I took this picture just to say, from bread, when you are doing that, there are different things to eat, flavors to the things. Like herbs, we have these ones to make flavors too. This is where, I don't know, is markets inside, business inside. I just took this, but what I find fun is the prices, because I think all the same have the same measurement. Wheat with 2003, soybeans with 10, I don't know if pounds, must be dollars. I say, we have a lot, when we are doing bread, you need to think twice why you are using wheat. Because if you can use soybeans, corn, look at the price of the corn. We don't have prices from everything. I just took pay attention to this situation. And soybeans, because in another site I saw soybeans with a high price than wheat. But I think wheat, it must be more expensive than the soybeans. Just to say, if we use part of corn, for example, now in Portugal we don't sell corn bread much in supermarkets, but we sold corn bread with wheat mix. It's not a big quantities people buy, but in many countries with the population that we have, we need to have corn with wheat, potato to do bread, and soybeans to do bread, because you cannot do bread with this price. We ought to say that mixing, for example, soybeans is a more full amino acids or protein than wheat. It's better for health and for people to feel full with soybeans than with wheat. Also, you can use wheat, but we can use wheat with these things mixed too. Is missing here potatoes, but there are different ways to make bread, a cheaper way for people. I say, from chicken, eggs, fish, and bread can be very different and can be, for people without money, a way to survive. It was just another thing with bananas, that you can do bread with bananas too. In some countries, maybe can be important because some parts of bananas are not sold in the market later on. You can do fries with them, but they can be used in bread to give taste. And for the countries who have big quantities, is one way to do a better bread. Duckweed. Normally I speak of duckweed, but duckweed is one part of the family of these things with full amino acids. You must check duckweed and the different ones, different varieties of duckweed, because there are many. For example, azolla is one of them. Some are better in amino acids than other ones. Just to say, you can have duckweed properly. After dry, you can make flour of duckweed to make bread too. It was when I show bread green. You can use it, and spirulina too, but in a different. This one you can use it dry, and like flour. If you use spirulina, you need to use with water mix, because it's very difficult to dry the spirulina and to get absolutely separate. But the content of water that comes with spirulina will be the water that the bread needs. I speak more about protein content. Is why I speak not only for animals but for people. Because for animals we have different crops to use in them. It shows how the gluten of wheat makes easy to make bread. But protein is not strong. It's one thing more that I show how you can sell carp fish too. Can be in this way. This is the spirulina. This is for people drinking. How do you see is the spirulina that I speak with water that can use to do bread. Because the water contains in this situation is the water that we need to make the brown mix with wheat together. And we don't need to use water, because the water that we are going to use bread comes from spirulina. So you can use spirulina to make bread too. That is very high in protein. I think it's 60-70% full protein. And it's the water, the way how I find for cows' milk, all the animals, birds, everything, porks, that they can drink water mixed with spirulina that makes the main protein for the animals. And the other one, duckweed, that because spirulina, it shows here a little green, but it's more blue. But with algae, duckweed, bamboo, corn plant mix can have a good animal feed for all these kinds of animals. Ash to be used as a fertilizer is something that we can study the lands that need. You can use ash, and it is one way to use ash that we don't do anything, just make pollutants in one place. It's what I speak with manure, because with manure I can show this of Money Talks News. You can see it in Money Talks News. Money Talks News, yeah, and by putting the name you'll find the things, like in all my videos is what you can do. That soil treated with manure or compost stores more carbon than chemicals fertilize soil. And in this situation, mix manure, human and animal manure with forest biomass, all the biomass that you need to use, and roads can be with forests and crops. The roads must be very clean, and these things can be used for doing compost for lands. But it is to say, it's very important for different crops, but it's the situation that in places that cannot be soil for trees. When I speak trees, normally I speak about fruit trees, that we can have a lot, is where I begin to think this situation, for example, for China, in the north, because lots of places don't produce anything, but if they have water and the climate is good for a certain variety of fruit trees, you can have them if you prepare the soil for that thing. Or say with the soil, with compost and some more components for the kind of the tree, and with water, not so far away, you can have forests of fruit trees where you don't have, or it's not possible to have anything else. And you just prepare as one part of, for example, 1 meter by 1 meter of a different soil. After we do this 5 meters away, I say, you are not making treatment of all the soil, just where we have the trees. Just to say another part I have for eucalyptus, how they grow up if they have a good soil. And if the soil is prepared for many years to stay there, rich with the forest biomass, big ones are going to get the compost in for many years, and the soil will be rich. Without to say that one situation we don't do is liquid manure to do. That we can use like an injection on the floor in the future. Or say, they make a wall and they inject a liquid that is made with manure for the tree. Of course, that these things must be treated and well studied. It's a catfish farm village. We have already them in Africa, just the problem of Africa is the organization of the governments. And nowadays, I don't think you have many countries, but governments. You have of 6 governments in the world, maybe less than 6. But countries, we have many. We have countries, but we don't have governments. This is what for the plastic, for bathrooms. Here's another thing from the BID Shell station, is to use plastic in bathrooms. I use this one, I don't know if it's plastic or not, but just to give the idea, with plastic you can have nice colors. And I'm not certain, but I think it's possible to do this color with plastic for people to feel that have gold at home. Because plastic like this one, first they can be colored bathrooms. And like this one, if you know the energy to make this thing from plastic, for example, plastic can be 5%, we can spend 5% of energy, and this one we need 100. Just to say, with a soap product from petrol, you are spend 5% of energy to 100. It's a big difference. It's why you need to think about plastic, how to use it at home, mainly in the bathroom and in the kitchen. Because you are using already plastics in it, at least in the kitchen, it's full of glue and plastic. Just is not only plastic, that could be much easier. That is one of the things that I like. The use of agave plant for many countries, not only Mexico, because agave plant you don't have the flavor of the alcohol, and we can mix with flavors and have different kinds of drinks without to be tequila. And you can use all of the plant, of the agave plant, to make chemical products from or a shower product for to have shower from agave. Is not from, there is another one very famous that he uses now for everything, but don't mean that agave and other kind of cactus have the same characteristics to look. And you can have alcohol, and you can have products to make detergents with this kind, to have a shower, to have different products for health, because parts of it are good for health, and you can have fibers from these parts here. I say, from this plant you can take everything, including animal feed. It's very good for some plants, because it takes 7-8 years to do one plant of these things, and some in different places maybe they can take 10. But it's one thing that can be used, if the climate is good, to use lamps without anything. This is the bamboo, that you can do many things from bamboo. And it's how to say how bamboo is done. It's very different from a tree. It's not a tree, bamboo is not a tree, it's a grass. But you can use it in very different ways. And you can take the green part for animal feed, the inside part for cows, goats, sheep is okay. Not, I don't think much for chicken. But you can have them separate. And if you think in this situation of using bamboo, that I think spirulina and bamboo is one of this job that I did, I think will be the most important for animal feed. It's pictures, we have one of these machines in my country where I work. But it's to speak, I took these pictures for funny. Because we have two, this one and the big one than this one. And the difference between them, because one of the burning, we burn sawdust in these things, because we have the joinery. And the entrance of it and how it works is can be very different. This one, it was the best. I said the smoke that went out, it was white. The other one, the smoke, it was black. It's like making electricity with coal. Making electricity with coal, with equipments with 40, 50 years old is one thing. Making them with the modern technology is another thing. You can have black or white smoke. It's just to show this situation, how is important the hair for burning and the technology used and the design. I say, when we speak about coal, we need to know what kind of industries are using coal, how old are they are using it properly or not. Because for me, coal can be better than gas for doing electricity if it's in modern installations. Another way to make spirulina at home. Alkaline water, I don't know, you must check in internet on the best thing because now I forget what is better to grow algae in big quantities. I find this one because I look for what is the gas that humans are using or what we live. Well, because we don't need only oxygen. There are, I don't know if I see where I took this thing, the name, don't appear here. I forget this, sometimes to get more information. Here you have something that you can look for and to find where I got this thing. But it's just to show the atmospheric. This thing is in Portuguese. It's not a good idea, but it speaks about atmospheric air, the things that the atmospheric air only have 21% of oxygen, is why we need trees. We need more oxygen in the atmospheric. Let me see another one. This is one I spoke before, how to use, we are changing with air, but not in a closed circuit. This thing works with a closed circuit, not like we are using here. There is no, it's just crazy to use air in this situation with the technology that we have today in gas industry to have a closed circuit. It's just crazy to think that we can throw the air away because they are atmospheric air. That is a picture from Rousey. I find it very fun because it's making with bricks. I never saw one state make with bricks. And I find these people very funny. I normally watch the news from CCTV every day. speaks about the name of the air that we breathe. You breathe everything, including nitrogen, that is on the air. Is oxygen and nitrogen that are in the air. I think hydrogen too, because what is the gas 2O? We must have a lot of hydrogen in the air. I just took this thing. You cannot see because it was the news. You cannot. This is not a video, but is the channel that normally I watch TV is from this one in YouTube. This is speaking about Israel bushfires. I took this picture. It's crazy the number of fires that we have, and the governments don't have anything to stop this situation, and they don't mind at all. I'm speaking about the Ecuador line to make with palm trees, and the rest of the world they are burning everything, how much they can without spending any money. You have a few countries that are running them. I'm not speaking about Israel because I just took this one, and I don't know what is happening in Israel. I just know that there are some countries, like Portugal is one of them. You could have 100 fires per day in Portugal. That is not natural. But we have this for what I can remember, at least 25 years or 30 years. In past, when I was 7 or 10, we had a big fire. It was with a train by coal who make the fire, and everybody speaks in the news about one fire. Now you have 100 per day, and no one speaks, no one cares. And lots of countries are like Portugal in this situation. Yeah, is one more of the prices that I showed before. How you see is the prices of the cereals. Soybean meal. I think I've seen another one. This is glass. This is one more situation where we can use plastic. Let's say, spending 5%. When I speak, it's 5% of energy that moves everything. Let's say, we must have a price different, 95% from a glass or plastic. One year ago, when I discovered that we could do closed air, we could do closed air system with air, I thought this kind of engine, this is air engine that works. Normally they are, but they are not more than 5 horsepower power. Or say they are not developed for big things, because it's the situation we throw the air away. We cannot develop this system because you are not keeping the air. But at the time, I say the people, I try to develop this thing with many people, or telling that it's possible to make electricity by air at the time. But I never had an answer. I had an answer once. They told me, it was from Germany. I don't know if it was Siemens or Volkswagen. One of them told me that you all are being interested if this thing is with a patent. I live with universal credit. I would have money to make a patent. Anyway, I look for the price of the patents. It's just crazy because the price of patents is not for everyone to do. It's for big enterprises, not for small people. But it's just to say, it was, you have engine motors. But for aeroplane, this is not the situation. It's the movement like the water moving. To take water for the field is a better system than this one, because it's only by air and is much simple, and you can have much high pressures in that system than in these things. It looks funny. It's not. It looks hamburgers. It's not hamburgers. It's to put soil to make crops. coconut with seawater. You can start this way. They accept some salt water, not many, and it's good for if you have salt water in desert. You can have lots of coconut trees. This is another way that we can use water or soil for plants. It's good for places where the lands don't have any value for agriculture. You want to recycle rubbish. When I was young, I showed these pictures before. This is how to crush bamboo with tons of pressures. You must have a look of this one, because in the countries that we have bamboo, we can change iron metallic installations for doing factories and where we keep things with bamboo, because we can change using bamboo without using iron, which is very strong. You must see this one. This is Bagas cattle feed, the week in Louisiana agriculture. It's from sugar cane. Is the way. Is in one place, maybe is not used in another country. Just to say, we need to pay attention to the crops that we use for food, like cane, sugar, how to use it properly for animal feed. And you can use cane sugar and comes from another place mixed with another cereal from like corn plant. And a mix of them makes a good. We don't need to do all spent soya to make the animals growing fast. It's not properly healthy meat for people eating. And they grow faster. It's better to grow with one more month without spending much in crops and moving crops from one continent to another one. You need crops for humans, food, not for animals like we are using now. Like algae is slice science. Don't appear much here, that we see. Yeah, slice science. From pollution to super substance. I think this one, if I can remember now, shows all algae. You are speaking algae of this size, but you can have microscopic, like spirulina. You have algae, small one, not like wheat. When I speak normally algae, I don't speak about these ones big, but the small ones that you can collect on the top of the water. Another thing to speak about the using of dung or manure on the soil for improving the soils. We don't see much, as we see. Don't speak very. It was from published in Nature Food. I think you can see, if you can see better, you can have a look in it. Another way, spinach bread, we do bread with lots of things, how you see, with different colors. You can do bread for all of the things. It looks like very special, but it means that you can do bread with a very low price if you mix different things in the bread. It's a different way to make bread, and if you don't have money, it's important how to learn how to do these kinds of bread in a cheap way. For example, another capability of banana and plantain products for animal feeding is one more things. You don't say where it was this taken, but you can watch there are many things in the internet. You just need to have a look on it. It is you can look internet by this name. But banana don't have much protein, the vegetables, the tree, but it's a stock field and there are ways of using it. is one more crop that people don't pay attention for animal feed, but they exist. It was for rabbits. Don't appear where it is. It's a funny YouTuber. But banana trees are good for livestock, and this one was for rabbits. The other situation from that when it comes the value of bamboo from Africa, and this weighs 18 to 23 protein, but it has the highest amount of crude protein. That is very different. It's not a full amino acids or a full protein, but in bulk or in crude protein is very high. For goats, they reduce the protein need for 14%. And for chickens, must be in here something for chickens. But it was from speaking about Ethiopia. But it was where I find how bamboo is important and can be important for half of the world, at least for the south. That is, it was in Mexico. Now is a problem for the United States, because now it's not a problem from Mexico. Never was, but it's just to say how the wheels are open on the sea, and if they are well or badly closed, it's a show how many. You have just a look, it's funny to understand what is gas, what gas is and the problem with gas. When I speak things that can happen, ring of fire, when we have lots of volcans, at this moment we have so many, what can happen to our civilization? It's why it's very important every country have food, at least important food, for survive in bad situations. Because if you have a bad situation, things are not moving from one country to another like it is now. Also, ananas is not important if you don't have ananas. Of course, for now, if you can have, it's good. But in one bad situation, it's not what kills a country without food, like bananas too. Another photography when I was, like I said, I'm from timber, my specialty. It moves the camel digestive system. It's very fun because I've been speaking here about camels, at least for Africa, North Africa. It's important for South. Another thing I didn't speak is some of these animals, when they go wild, do they have not robots, the things that go in there very small. They are not used with fans. I cannot remember, but it's what we have now for war and everything. You can use them to kill the animals and have a control about animal life. I think you must see this thing to understand better the use of urine. Is why when I show the cows how they can have a peg to take, I showed it was to see the food, the importance of food in a cow, but can be doing to take urine. Another way, how to grow spirulina. How palm oil is made from factories. I took this and this one shows. This one can be for fertilizers. This one can be taken for fever. This one can be taken for animal feed. With spirulina, you can have plenty of food for camels. If you have these trees. Is why in Africa, the palm tree corridor, camels can be very important in the north and the south to have meat. Because with this you can have plenty of food for them. And one way to move palm trees fruit from one place to another. Another way of these things, I find this one when I took for bread, is the way you can do spaghetti or pasta in very different ways. You don't need to make them only with what you can do with potatoes. It's done in China with rice, with vegetables. It's a different way. For example, in duckweed, you could do it with duckweed. It's a different way of to make food. And is why when I speak duckweed algae, is you can use them not for do this petrol, like it's now very, it was all time developed for to doing chemical things to burn, that we have enough petrol in the world, or crude in the, we don't need anything from crops to make petrol or diesel, because we have enough petrol, crude, all the world to use, that we are not going to use anymore, because these things with electricity are going to stop all of this situation. Crude, coal, atomic is to stop. But this is a way how to show how you can improve life of our populations. I speak a lot and I think about poor countries and where we have a lot of population that needs food. The bamboo in Nigeria is a kind of bamboo for dry places and for animal feed that they use there. And it was the idea when I began to have give the importance of bamboo in life. This is, they were catching fish. We cannot see very well in this picture, but they are walking in water full of duckweed. That is good for the fish to eat, but people normally don't connect one situation with another one. The green part, this is everything green. We cannot see properly, but it's just to say how important is duckweed, and that people in many places don't connect duckweed with food, animal feed or human feed. The things that I find this part here with the Joka machine, and where I got to do electricity by electricity, because I connect air, that it was the only one energy that you can use in different ways, with different parts. You can use in different kinds of energy, and I thought only with air is possible to do that. This one with other machine, and I thought in the other machine, and I thought in air at the same time, and I got another way to make electricity by connecting the machine. When we connect, the machine goes up, and after goes to zero, and is moving. That is a way that we can use stop electricity plant by coal or by atomic things, and use the parts that are there to produce electricity with a very small engine or a air engine to produce it. But it was these three for food, that these three with other machine and their production makes me to find another way to produce electricity. Machines to make correct palm dates is a different way, and how we can clean all of these situations and improve for animal feed too and for soil. Is one more pieces that I took out to do things with greens. And also the whole system preparing banana plants for food for livestock and poultry. It's the easy way. Normal, small people do this. Of course, the country don't think about this situation. Just who is poor sometimes thinks better. This one shows better how interesting is bamboo, how we can take animal feed from here and bottom and have timber to produce furniture and structures, solid structures with compressed bamboo. Let me see if it appears the name. No, didn't show the name here. That is the other way how to use the backlit on the top of the tires and to have a different time lapse. I hope some small producers can introduce backlit in this part and show how important is backlit. The two systems with resin mixed in the rubber or with the sawdust mixed with the rubber. They need to be different ways of this one for them can be used with dust in rubber because it makes flat soil. With the resin, they need like football shoes for running or the football people. I took this one. Is all the countries need tubes, and this one is one of producers of in China for doing these tubes. First, I thought this to use for salt water to go to the desert, but anyway, it's important for all countries to have this kind of tube for in the towns to move residual waters from one place or to move water for crops. How do you see this one, like I call plastic gold, this one liquid gold, Uranus Garden Fertilizer. I did the test and it works good. This one I find fun because it's catfish feeding times with the feed grain-based diet. Also, they are using grain, like I said, can be bamboo, duckweed, algae, because they can eat vegetables, food. Sorghum, another alternative for animal feed in regenerative agriculture. For example, sorghum is one of the things that can use salt water. They are studying the use with the salty lands in China, and one of them is sorghum. And one more thing for animal feed. This is where a stomach investigation. In this situation, we can use in the stomach, but you can use to take urine out. I used one of these things between my two intestines for 4 years, and I was better in life than I am now without it. You have seen this before, you've seen this before. This is another part without algae that you can do with salt water, life of plankton. It's very interesting because it's not only, there are many things that you can have for animal feed or for human feed. This one is one more important in that situation. Grass carp, obviously they are big, they grow fast, and they grow in big quantities. And they have a kind of, with the eggs, better than those animals to grow, especially in very high quantities to be dangerous. Is why we need to control them, but it's one of the fish. Because the grass carp, I choose, first it was the idea to have small carps to feed another fish. It was one of the situations when I thought about carp. But you can have carps to feed fish, and you have carps to feed humans. So you can have both situations. And one of the situations for the eggs of the carps, you need to change it or to keep them in the same way like we do with humans, with the egg humans or sperma, that you can mix like to have the animals growing up in different parts of the year if you want to use them with the animal feed. Me and the more classic, and to show what animals are eating here. Do you see? They don't have anything to eat, but they survive. It's Morocco. My first trip to Morocco. We've seen this one, Cifro. you can have a look of this one to see how plastic the technology works. This is the resins. How do you see the resins? This part is not for the top, it's for the inside of the tire. Because for the top, they don't want to put on the top something because they need to sell five tires, not one. And with this on the top, they will just sell one. I see the colors of the plastics that can be used like shelves in the kitchen, shelves. In the front, you have many different kinds of plastic. In the sides, making the walls, you can use, all you see, a very small amount of material that is a subproduct of crude, when we do diesel, that if you use, we save a lot of plants in the planet, we solve lots of pollution, because when we have this, you don't have timber with glue and plastic on the top, because the plastic that is here is normally on the top of wood. So we don't have wood, and we just have the plastic that normally we have in that thing, stronger than this one. Milking technology for camels is interesting for the countries who need camels. Harvesting better alloy. You have the other one from Mexico that we don't use inside of these things, but you can use from the Mexican like aloe vera to make products with the inside of the leaves, and use the other parts for animal feed and for to make clothes and things from people. Superfood mega factory, how spirulina is made. If you see this one, you are going to see that it's not used. Dry spirulina is not an easy thing. It's easy to make in a liquid way. When we do bread, it needs to go with water. When we feed animals, it goes with water. Or say the animals are having protein in water, not in the dry food. In the dry food is for liquid. Spirulina is for the water. Like animals, cows and pigs that eat a lot, drink a lot of water with dry food, they get the protein they need by drinking water. And for example, for pigs, you don't think about dry corn plant, but dry corn plant mixing in foods in the future for pigs will be one way to have pigs without to be the food so expensive, because they are getting enough protein, more than enough protein in spirulina. This is a machine that shows how we can press in small villages and things, small towns, to press paper and plastic, and afterwards to deliver to big factories. It's a way to improve collection, at least in some countries, as I remember to see things in Thailand. It's just because the problem of the plastic and the rubbish is not the problem of the people putting them in water. It's a problem from the state to collect the rubbish and organize the things. Because if it organized, we will not have plastics on the water like we have. This is cassava plant. It's quite fine. I took it from, but you can find it in encyclopedia. It was encyclopedia. Cassava. The leaves have protein, good for animals. This part for humans don't have protein. It's very low in protein, at least from what I read from here. And it's just one way to show. For example, we can do spaghetti with it too. Maybe I'm not doing now, but in the future you can do spaghetti and many things. So crops, we can use different crops in things that we are not using now. Price is very important. I speak this because for rich countries not important, but for poor countries it's very important. Why the soul is, why innovative touch is dying. I think I have another one here. It's from the same thing. So this one is for cane sugar, the reduction of cane sugar because we have dry weather. to understand palm oil and production of these things, and why we don't need to be against palm oil trees and using palm oil that is must be increased, not reducing. Because it's one of the best producers of oil for kilometers area. And with this, you are not going to burn forests to have rapeseed oil, because I think lots of forests are been getting fire to have this kind of rapeseed oil. And you can use African lands that are not without any vegetation to produce these things near the Ecuador in north and south. I think it's from chicken, it's not important. I like chickens, is why it's a fun way to have chickens. You see, there is a chicken. It's raising health chickens. Factory wonders. Who likes chickens like me can have a look. That is the most interesting video about pollution that I have seen, and it shows how we need to run out of gas as soon as possible, because it shows installations with 40, 50 years. What is happening now is this. This is a blogger that I used to watch in the past, not nowadays, but I find it one and I find very interesting. And how fun is to understand what is happening with gas in the Western countries. Buffalo, I've been speaking about camels, but buffalo is another crop good for zones where we have very wet food for animals. Camels are good for that, but buffaloes are in that situation too. Is north that shows, it's with a little more height. This picture is not good. But anyway, it's enough to see in this part here how Republic of Congo is green and other countries are not so green. See? Angola is here and it's absolutely different. By the lines you see how people have been changing the environment. Or say, it's like I said, if you see this with Google Maps, you are going to see what kind of trees we have these things, and we find that there are not so many. Is why you need, again, to use it to have palm oil. This is sheep. I've shown this before. These two. I show this again, is to show some countries how we produce one thing and comes another country and change our lives. It's what can happen in Africa with coconut, because Brazil farms have changed these situations that we see. It was from Reuters. It's a very changing, can be a very game changer. Anyway, you need a lot of cocoa too. Okay. The bread that I ate when I was young, we make the bread for 1 week. How we saw the prices of bread, we can see that making bread with corn, the price is absolutely different from making with wheat. Think about that. And I finish for now. I hope everything I've been speaking is a record, because it happened to me that in the past didn't. And I'm just going to finish now. Thank you for listening to me.